Okay, guten Abend. Ich hoffe, du hattest einen schönen Tag. I hope you had a good day. And I know I should be einen bisschen feiern, meaning I should be partying a little. But it is difficult when es gibt so viele Probleme in meinem Heimatland, when there is so much problems in my homeland. So I've decided instead of partying, I'm going to make a video tonight. So, los geht's. So someone sent me a little video about the road towards the Lone Hospital, and I think it's in Mongate. And that road is just in miserable, horrible condition. Okay, so I sent it to a friend of mine, a family friend of mine, and they said, oh, well, they sort of try to make some excuse for why the road is in that condition. And it's like, I think the washer is putting on some pipes. And I'm saying to myself, that is not a reason for that road to be in that condition. Because it either says to me that the people who are doing the work doesn't know what they're doing, or the people who are having the people do the work doesn't know what is expected from the people who are doing the work. So if there's such an important road to the only mental hospital that you have, and you know that road is frequented, and that road is a critical passageway, even if, let's assume that people are actually, putting pipes down in the road. Let's say that is the case. I don't know if that is the case. I've not confirmed that. But if that is the case, then whoever contractor is doing the work should be phasing that work, okay? Should put some work zone traffic control, and I think I had that conversation about, the Molyneux project, should have some proper work zone traffic control and phasing of the work such that traffic is not interrupted during the progression of the work. And that is not a difficult thing to do at all. Especially if you're just putting down a pipe, okay? You can put traffic control devices around where you're doing the work and allow vehicles to traverse on either side, or if you're doing it on the left side, you put a work zone traffic control on the left side, and you allow vehicles to go on the right side, or if you do it on the right side, vice versa, right? So that is not an excuse, especially such a critical road. And here it is. Take a look at the video. So this is not how you set up a work zone traffic control. And a matter of fact, it's just downright dangerous. And, it's more of a hazard than actually allowing traffic to flow. You could do it much better, much easier, and allow traffic to flow in the area without much interruption. And I mean, come on, guys, this is not rocket science. This is like straightforward common sense in how to deal with this. So it means that probably someone doesn't care or is just reckless. And you've gotta do better than that for the Grenadian people. So I also saw another video someone sent to me. People are sending me stuff now these days. You guys are really trying to suck me into making comments on these videos and getting more and more involved in Grenadian politics. But anyway, I think it's like a civic duty of sorts from afar. So it's not a bad thing. But I think it's like Stanley Charles were trying to interpret what the Prime Minister was saying. Jerry don't make comments on what the Prime Minister do. But someone sent me that video. And, I think he has so much on his plate already. And, just being a Prime Minister of a country is just difficult. The leader of a country is difficult. So, but someone sent me that video. So I thought that I'll just like make some comments on it. So, it's not so much the comments the Prime Minister made, but it's more so what the gentleman said and his interpretation and explanation of what the Prime Minister said. I think in many respects, he was just way off. I didn't think he did any justice to what the Prime Minister was trying to say. So let's take a look at it, and I'll make a few comments on it.
Now, we've just heard the Prime Minister. So I'm going to show you something that is lacking and I'll try to do it for you.
We met a Ministry of Infrastructure that had significant challenges, I think, and we still have.
So there, he's speaking gobbledygook. They inherit a non-existent system. The previous government, the allegation of corruption, what he's about to explain to you is really a citadel of corruption.
So from the get-go, what we see right here, obviously we can tell that the comments he's going to be making is some sort of political hit job against the previous administration, because the Prime Minister clearly said that they came in and the Ministry of Infrastructure faced some challenges. He didn't say it was non-existent. He didn't say that, it's a citadel of corruption. So right off the bat, he's just totally misrepresenting what the Prime Minister said. And I mean, I don't think the Prime Minister is someone who's lost for words. If he wanted to say there was just horrible conditions in the Ministry of Infrastructure, then he would have said it. And then that would be paradoxical to see that there was so much in terms of infrastructure that was achieved under the previous administrations. I mean, again, as I've said it, there are tangible things you can hold, touch, and feel, and even smell, in terms of infrastructure that was done by the previous administration. So again, as I said, this is more than likely, from the onset, this is more than likely going to be a political hit job on the previous administration.
Some of them. Challenge one is just the lack of equipment.
See, challenge one, the lack of equipment. So why should there be here? Because the public, as far as the public is concerned, the equipment they see on the street, fixing the road, building bridges, belongs to them. What they do not know, it's part of the previous government way of ciphering money. That's the allegation.
Well, that is just a horrible interpretation. And it says to me that the gentleman does not understand how governments work and how municipal authorities work when it comes to doing public projects. Now, generally, the government is not going to hold equipment, okay? It's sometimes much easier to subcontract the work to the contractors who are expected to have the equipment to do the work. So the government is not going to hold a bunch of equipment. Do you know what is involved in holding all these equipment? Do you know the amount of people have to employ to maintain the equipment, to take care of the equipment? Are you kidding me? Come on, bro. Come on. The government is not going to hold a bunch of equipment. They probably might just hold a few major equipment, okay? But when the work is subcontracted to people who are expected to do the work, they're expected to have the heavy equipment to do the work. That is done all over the world, okay? Many a times, these major municipal authorities and government do not do the inside work. It's much easier for them to sub it out to contractors and then have the engineers or whatever, engineers in charge, monitor the work, okay? Or have their resident engineer supervise the work. So you're definitely way off. I'm sure this current administration is doing exactly the same thing. They're actually subcontracting out the work to get the work done. So total nonsense. But again, I made a video previously and I was talking about intellectual honesty. So if you're going to do something like that, if you're going to make a comment about the Prime Minister's comments, and I know you're probably it's obvious where politically you're leaning, but if you're not going to be intellectually honest and make such statements with such extreme hyperbole, then you're losing credibility. Nobody's going to believe what you're saying. Nobody's going to take you seriously.
Administration, it seems for years, have just taken the approach that they would outsource everything. So everything is rented.
Right, so here we are. That is, you've privatized the government. People are making money. What he says, outsource, that's privatization. What did I always tell you? The slave catchers party don't give a NP about you. How can they make money? So you outsource, as he's saying, you privatize government. You're there not to develop a country.
Kind of edited a little bit of what he said because there's some sort of words I didn't want to include in the video, the S word and stuff like that. But anyway, so the approach of outsourcing, as I said previously, is not uncommon. And that's not a problem. For you to initially invest, let's say, for example, you want to buy some sort of heavy equipment. The initial capital investment to buy the equipment, plus you're talking about maintenance of that equipment. Do you know how much cost that is involved? Do you want to put that cost onto the taxpayers? No. It might be a smart approach, okay, to let the contractors buy the heavy equipment and all the equipment they need to do their job. You understand what I'm saying? And then you sub out the work to them. So you don't have to first, if you buy heavy equipment, you have to find a yard. So you have to have a place to put that heavy equipment. Okay? You have to have the first capital investment to buy those equipment. You have to maintain those equipment. You have to have a crew of people to pay to maintain those equipment. And there's so much other contingency that goes into taking care of those equipment. Okay? So that is not a bad approach to outsource. Again, as I've said, most municipal authorities do that. They don't go there as a government or state authority and do their own work. Are you kidding me? It's too expensive to do it that way. And of course, I understand politically why the prime minister may have the motivation of saying, okay, well, equipment is an issue and stuff like that. Politically, I understand. He has to do a little bit of damage control for all the projects that might be late, all the things that cannot be done. That's what politicians do. So he's doing what he's supposed to do. Find a way to wiggle out of, government taking responsibility for any problems with scheduling or any problems with not having achieved what they should have achieved. That's okay. It's politics. I understand.
We have no control over equipment ourselves. In fact, I think when I visited the Bushiju site, they probably had one truck.
We stop him there, one truck. Well, what's your reaction to that, to find that out? That you only have one truck, government, the people of Grenada, you only have one truck. What does that tell you?
Well, I need not comment on that, about the one truck situation. It doesn't matter if they don't have any trucks. What I've said before still applies. Okay? Guys are subcontracted to do the work. Guess what? They bring their equipment. Part of the deal. Bottom line. It's like you bring your hammer to work, right?
And maybe a bobcat. I'm not even sure. So equipment is a challenge. Personnel is a challenge. And then the systems for accountability, for reporting.
See, that's the key point he's making there. You can't account because it's not your equipment. You can't do an audit at any given time. It's not your equipment. So they've privatized the thing and everybody is making money, but the work is not being done. So here is now, again, kind of gobbledygook language. He's covering it up. But what he's saying is, look, we need to look at these things critically, and then we need to make the necessary changes.
I mean, it's not a problem in managing your work, right? If you subcontract a work, there is something called an engineer in charge or resident engineer who is actually the client's representative on the job. The client in this case being the government of Grenada, if they subcontracted the work to some contractor. Okay? They have their engineer in charge or the resident engineer in the field to look out for their interests. So it's a question of management. This has nothing to do with equipment. You're totally misunderstanding what's going on. It may be a problem of management, and that is something that can be fixed. That's something that can be taken care of. Just maybe we should have less ambassadors and more engineers to get your infrastructure projects going. They've been talking about committees in the diaspora. I know a bunch of people in the diaspora who are, work with New York State DOT. I know a bunch of people who work with the MTA. And these people I know are Grenadians. I know a few of them. I thought you guys had some committees in the diaspora to help you guys out. What happened? I think we're focusing too much on ambassadors and we're focusing too much in Grenada and too many darn lawyers. I mean, you've got a guy down there who used to work with the MTA helping out you guys, right? The guy used to work with the MTA he has a bit of experience. So you got to tap into his technical knowledge. He probably could give you guys some advice on how things actually work. Every man, woman, and their mama is a lawyer. A bunch of smart men and women. Just maybe, if you want to build a country, you should focus on your engineers. Focus on the trades and your technocrats. It's not like back in the days when, you couldn't get scholarships. You guys giving scholarships left, right, and center. So what are you sending them and study? Law again? But no, I know what it is. Everybody wants to come back as a lawyer. Because you guys want to come back and act as some petty bourgeois. I'm a lawyer. You want to feel like you're so much more smarter than the average Grenadian people. Well, I'm a lawyer.
For making sure we deliver on time, making sure we manage our resources, we're not there. So,
you see, making sure we manage our resources is not there. It's gobbledygook again. He's hiding the facts. What he's not saying, the previous government, that is how they were able to keep themselves in office. All their friends got contracts. There's nobody overseeing whether these contracts are genuine. Any figure they put up, they got paid. You paying them, and they're allegedly embezzling the money. He's not saying that, but that's what he's saying.
Come on, Stanley. I gotta call you your first name. I don't even know you like that, but what you're saying is a bunch of hogwash. Do you actually believe what you're saying, that the Grenadian people believe what you're saying? Actually, the Prime Minister is spot on. Look what I just said. Before even hear what he said, management is the issue. But you're turning this around and doing a political hit job and say, oh, the previous administration was getting paid. Come on, bro. At least if you're not going to be intellectually honest with the Grenadian people, be intellectually honest with yourself, bro. If you're the same Stanley Charles that I knew from over 30-something years ago, come on, man. I mean, by now, there should be some intellectual maturity and honesty in what you're saying, bro. Come on. You are actually doing the Grenadian people a disservice. It's an absolute disservice that you're doing the Grenadian people when you do things like that.
We have been going through a reorganization, and I think in 2025 we will see more of that taking place. So while we are working on, and we're also working on improving the HR capacity at the ministry by recruiting.
He's going to go on to say how they're going to improve it in terms of recruiting. You see, there have been, for a number of years, you get a job allegedly upset, or you get a job because of connections. That cannot help you. Now, that is the allegation level at the NNP. Remember, I told you they are slave catchers party. They can exploit your ass.
More seasoned and experienced engineers in particular. And the engineers we have at the ministry are fantastic. They're quite young though. And many of them would have joined the ministry coming straight out of university. So I think even they would accept that the need for mentoring, the need for...
Again, clever language. He's saying, which the people who are running the system, they really haven't got the experience. They're out of university. They're talented. They're great. We are pleased to have them, but they need the older heads to guide them. He says mentoring.
And that is okay. I mean, it's good to have young people. And of course, you need a little guidance. But it goes back to what I said in previous videos. You can't decide that you're going to dishonor people with wisdom and experience and good judgment and create that sort of culture in your nation and in your politics. And all of a sudden, when you encounter problems now, you may realize that you need that experience and judgment. It's okay to be youthful. And I've personally spoken to one of the younger guys who worked in the Marlin project. I think he's a CTO, and the kid you could see the kid is ambitious, he's willing to learn, and he will learn. And that's good. That's a good thing. He's going to gain some valuable experience in the current position. And, in a couple of years, you'd have learned a lot. But the people you're looking for, I'm sure in Grenada. Do you want to tell me that they're not experienced engineers in Grenada? You got to be kidding me. What, this is the first time Grenada building stuff? There must be experienced engineers in Grenada. What I noticed, especially on the Marlin project, there was so much turnover. You had one project manager. I mean, you see about 3 or 4 different project managers. Then you had Cuban engineers, you know. But I would hate to believe that in Grenada, they are not experienced engineers. We've been building stuff for a very long time, right? So there must have been people who have done this before, unless you've politically sidelined them, which doesn't make any sense. So all in all, the Prime Minister is realizing something. It's okay to talk about youthfulness and we're young and we could do this. But you need the people who came before you. So you have to reassess. You can't be arrogant and say we're youthful and we're young and because you're going to get yourself into problems. So you still have to rely and be honorable and respectful to the people who came before you, because they have a certain level of good judgment and experience, and you need them so that they can train the young and youthful engineers.
Some level of hand-holding and support from more experienced engineers is required, and we're seeking to get some of that. But engineering capacities in short supply throughout the region.
Engineering capacity is in short supply, meaning same thing. The bankrupt education system that's supposed to produce them, no, it's producing social workers, so we're going abroad.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, a bankrupt education system, because traditionally, based on what I know, you had schools in particular that focus on STEM. You had, I don't know what it's like now, but I've grew up with a lot of young men who went to the GBSS and who went to the Presentation Brothers College. I'm sure these secondary schools are still focusing on STEM. And I'm sure there might be new ones that I don't know about. And with so much access to so much more information and so much emphasis on STEM, I am sure that the kids are quite as capable. It's just that, as I have said, we want too much petit bourgeois lawyers. And everybody wants to be a doctor. Because it's all about social status. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. People forget the importance of engineers in your society. And now that your society is on a trajectory, or has been on a trajectory upwards, in order to build your society, you need people in the trades, not just even engineers. Forget the design aspect about it. You need people in the trades. You need tradesmen, qualified, good tradesmen. People can actually do the work practically. Good contractors. So you've got to put an emphasis in it. I don't know how active, there used to be, I don't know what you, listen, again, I'm talking about a long time ago. There used to be a GTVI where you're teaching kids how to do technical stuff. Probably you need to focus on that, because you need these sort of trades. You need welders. You need, when you're building a society, you need contractors. You need constructors. You need plumbers. You need, people who are good with their heavy equipment. That's what you need. So you need to focus on that. Kind of move away from the doctors, lawyers, and politicians, if you want to build your society. And then again, now I see he's talking about going foreign. The guy, Stanley's talking about going foreign. You don't have to go for it. Now, I know personally people who have moved back to Grenada, who have lived in New York City, who have had decades of experience in the unions. Build in New York City. Just maybe, if you change your culture and you're a little humble and you have a little discussion with these people, just maybe they can train the youth. These are people who are pretty good, skilled tradesmen. And they've moved back to Grenada, living in Grenada. So you can tap into their experience. But no, you don't want to tap into them. It's easier and quicker to look outwards. You have your people. But again, you have to have a culture and mentality that encourages these people to want to help in nation building. There must be humbleness in interaction with these people. It might motivate them. Or just maybe you want to motivate your youth. Tell them less rum drinking, less partying on the rum runner, and less running around checking chicks. And just maybe focus on the trades. If kids grow up and they have at least 3 trades, plumbing, welding, masonry, 3 trades, they have independence. Nobody can tell them nothing if they have 3 trades. So this you might want to focus on.
And so we are looking internationally as well. We are currently speaking with some engineers from India, and we're hoping, all things being equal, that we can get a couple of them to join us in 2025, which will strengthen, I think, the management and the project management and oversight and delivery of a lot of our projects. Having said that,
I'm not letting him go there because you see we ended there. But this is what you need from him. He's not a politician. He needs to be able to tell you that. He's going to say, well, that's not the right platform for that. I was merely given an update on what we have done and what we have achieved. But in 2025, well, we all guns blazing. You need to understand that what the previous government allegedly did is to privatize your business. They made money, they got fat and rich. What Dr. Mitchell says? He's not poor. He can go to Miami and buy a pants. He can go to New York. I'm Stanley Charles.
Now, without having much, background on the gentleman, Stanley Charles, I can only imagine, and I don't know what happened, what transpired. A lot could have transpired, in previous years with his interaction in politics, but it's quite clear, it's quite obvious and quite clear that he has a bone to suck, as we would say colloquially, with the NNP. And he's definitely not a fan of Dr. Keith Mitchell. So I'm sure over the years, I don't know what happened. I haven't lived there, but there might have been a lot that might have transpired, But so I could see probably him having his personal reasons for going in so deep against the NNP. You know what I'm saying? I could only imagine what transpired. You guys probably know better than I do. But yeah, he did a political hit job. Stanley Charles, you dropped the ball on this one, man. You did yourself a disservice, man. Come on, man. I know you're better than this. You're better than this. For the Stanley Charles I knew, I used to admire that person. I used to listen to you as a younger man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, probably the culture has changed in Grenada. Probably everybody is all about, political hit jobs. You know what I'm saying? But that one, you did Grenada a disservice. You did yourself a disservice. And I don't think anyone would take you serious in this one. And you totally did. To me, I believe that you did the Prime Minister a disservice. I mean, the Prime Minister made some very valid points and said some very valid things, as to how to go about achieving them. That's a whole different conversation. But I think he made some very valid points. But I think you did a disservice in the way you interpreted what he said. And, not cool, partner. Sorry to say, not cool. This could have been a very valuable thing to the Grenadian people. And I think you distracted from the message that the Prime Minister was trying to promote. You see what I'm saying? But hey, you're a grown man. You can do whatever you want to do.